I'll take my monkeys, you'll take your donkeys, we'll have a race right now. I'll bet my monkeys against your donkeys, the better will win right now. Ow! Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Monkey versus donkeys, monkey versus donkeys, monkey versus donkeys now. Can't you see my monkeys are beating your donkeys? It's quite a race right now. Ow! Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. Boom, doom, boom, 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 boo, boo. Doon, 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 boo, boo. Can't you see they're going around the turn now? Doon, 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 doon.
Hello there, and welcome to the Second Life Book Club. My name is Draxtor Dupre, and our guest today is Rick Harsch, author of many fine novels. The latest is a novella with only 67 pages, but I read it twice today. I think I read, no, wait a minute. I read it 3 times because it is dense and it is absolutely awesome. Rick is also the founder of Corona Samizdat, is a small press operating out of a small coastal town in Slovenia, where the rent is cheap and the paper of the books he puts out is of the highest quality. This is the book that I just read today, The Periplus of Spur Tank Road. So we're going to talk a little bit about this book, but we're also going to talk about the press and if Rick has some masochistic streak that he voluntarily deals with authors of literary fiction when nobody even reads airport books anymore. Well, what do I know? Anyway, Rick, welcome to the Second Life Book Club. How are you?
Did you just introduce me?
I did. How are you?
Okay, I'm very good. And to think that somebody read what you quaintly call my novella, it's a novel to me because it was originally projected at 500 pages or more. So,
Wow.
but that it's wonderful to hear that.
You know, I have no, as people know, I have absolutely no idea about literature. I'm just a reader. I have no academic background. No, honestly, because, and I was told novellas, they have to do, it has to do with the length primarily. So I thought like, oh, wait a minute,
Yeah,
is this a novel or
it
novella?
does. It's my personal thing. I insist that it's a novel because it is the book that I wanted to write. That for years I was thinking I have to write my anti-colonial India novel,
Hmm.
and when I was just having a hell of a time figuring out what I was going to write, and then one day it just hit me that this is what it is, and I thought, oh, good, it'll be short. so actually you're right, but I have to throw in my bit. It really doesn't matter. Um, it's there are short novels and there are longer novellas,
Hmm.
and so there is no absolute definition.
Well, the book is really awesome. You talk to a monkey, you talk to a bonnet macaque who comes down from a tree and he starts talking to you and he talks and he thinks about colonialism and he teaches you a thing or two. I mean, you appear in the novel as a protagonist. I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little bit later, but I do want to start off with camming around because there's a bunch of your titles here scattered on the ground, and people have played around with that. They played like bumper books. They were throwing these books around. Um,
Yeah.
if you also like to throw the physical book around, just go to coronasamistad.com right now and order some. And also here next to you in Second Life is a little TV, and on the TV I put a little loop where I go through my Corona Samistad part of the bookshelf. You have these
Um,
really big books. America, the Cult of the Cactus Boots, obviously, but also others. And then you have these pocket books that are kind of half the size, but they're also really, really thick. I mean, some of the titles, like, let's see here, this one, Suggestion Diabolique by David Vardaman, I think is
Oh,
it.
that's terrific.
That's
The
it's like
third story
500 plus pages, right? Yeah.
It might be, yeah, but there are four novellas and a short story, and the novellas are classic Vardaman, but the third one is probably my all-time favorite novella. It's called Easter, and it's a brutal book.
Now,
And
why
with
should, okay, I'm going to ask you a big question. Why, Rick, should people read literary fiction? You know, you're talking about brutal stuff. Your novel is about colonialism, about Vasco da Gama and putting a ship on fire with 800 Muslims in there and people ripping other people's heads off. And some of the stuff is just really, really weird. I mean, why should people go to coronasamistad.com right now and look at this absolutely awesome website and engage with literature? Why?
well, I think if you'd rather play billiards, then you should play billiards. I miss billiards. We don't have a pool table in town, and I really miss playing, and I'd like to go play billiards. Some people like to read though, and it's not. I think you probably, along with me 20 years ago, said, in 20 years nobody's going to be reading books, but they're reading more books than ever, and and the the life of literature is as vibrant as ever, and so there are the more. I think the more pertinent question is probably, why should I bother with books I haven't heard of? And
Mhm.
the answer to that is you shouldn't. But hopefully you'll hear occasionally of books like those that we publish, or books that other small presses publish. And this is, I think that's probably the best way I could answer it. I don't think that anybody who isn't inclined to read literature really should.
You
It
are
wouldn't
way
hurt you.
less you are way less ideologically inclined than I am. I'm like, you gotta read. You gotta eat that broccoli, that steamed broccoli with little bit dinkle on the side. No, I mean, I'm joking around here because
Yeah.
the stuff may be the stuff that you put out may be a little bit more challenging than a Nora Roberts romance novel or a David Baldacci that you get at the airport, but it is
If
incredibly
you were
enriching.
in my personal sphere, if you were sitting with me and having a drink, I would probably answer it differently.
Hmm.
But to the overall crowd, I think the first thing, one thing I can say is that people should probably not give their children smartphones
Yep.
until they're not children anymore. Uh, Other than that, I think that you have to take it from the that level, and then you go up, and up. Even that, it is a value judgment, and I do value literature, and I know that I should be reading more always, and I should be digging into books that I know are great, but I just don't feel like reading. And uh, and I just got a package of books today from one of our upcoming writers. Sent me 4 books, and it was really exciting to get them in the mail. And so I will be prioritizing those books and reading a lot in the coming weeks. So I don't mean to be hypocritical, but I think hypocrites usually do it by accident. So
You
I
you
think
do it
that
on purpose.
yeah, well,
And
it
I
depends.
mean,
It depends who I'm talking to.
yeah,
Sometimes it's good to nail someone with a flat out, direct, in their face hypocrisy.
right.
And then just watch what they do.
Absolutely,
And,
absolutely.
and
And I just want to say, because I would like to dispute a little bit what you said about that people read more than or what did you say? I mean, people read, yes, but there, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. There is a measurable. I read a bunch of articles, and I should have had them in front of me right now, where they measured that. Yeah.
I'll agree to trust you if everybody else will.
No, I mean, I'm saying I have no numbers to back this up. I recall an article in
Right.
a paper
But
a few weeks ago where
I'll
where
trust
they.
what you.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll trust you without the numbers.
Okay, so basically in that article it said that and this was about Germany and France, I think. The numbers of people who are reading is declining in massive numbers, and but I don't want to dwell on this too much. I mean, like you say, I mean, it's when I talk about this, I often hear myself, and I think like, oh, people probably think like, oh yeah, Draxtor is one of those guys, exactly like you say. Nobody's going to read anymore. In 5 years, it's going to be over. Books will be stopped publishing. The bigger question here is what makes Corona Samizdat. Um, why should people want to discover things that are out of their comfort zone? I think
Okay,
that's
I think
more important. Yeah.
out of their comfort zone. I think probably I would hope that Jesus Christ, I'm coming off like an optimistic idiot. I think that people are generally, given their awareness of their lifespan, are generally questioning themselves quite often and trying to improve one way or another. They know their bad habits. They know when they lose their temper at the wrong times and for bad reasons and things like that. And then nobody likes to feel like an ass. Well, anyway, to conflate all that, I think that people like to be out of their comfort zones because they get stimulated. There's an actual process there that happens when you leave your comfort zone and something happens it's more likely that you'll discover something, and people like to discover things. And
you are really way too optimistic, Rick. This is, I'm totally like, I would say, no, they don't. They want the same burger. They want the same burger. They want the same hotel room. They don't want to go to Corona Samizdat and discover anything new. Although it's so much more
okay,
awesome.
Let's see if we can very quickly solve the problem. You're a happy, popular guy in a big city, and I'm a miserable son of a bitch with no friends in a small city. So that's got to have something to do with it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
I think, but no, the reason. Okay, forget about what is happening, because if it was happening enough, I wouldn't be having any problems. And we wouldn't even need to talk about it. Isn't it great that there's so much great literature around and authors get paid enough to live on, and we got so many? It would be really nice to be in that situation.
The resistor is saying in the local chat, what is a comfort zone? And thank you for saying this, because I just realized, I just assumed, I used that term to kind of describe outside of the comfort zone of going, discovering something new, and discovering something new, meaning in this particular context, a small press where actually you most likely never heard of any of these authors, except for probably Philip Friedenberg with America the Call of the Cactus Boots, because there was a lot of hype around it when it first came out. And that's what I mean. But it's the same sort of like feeling that I got when I got into a record store and you look at covers. I mean, it's kind of the same process. Browsing your website reminds me of going to a record store and buying a record just because I like the cover, and I have no idea about the band. This
Yeah, and how many times did you discover something really great just because of the cover?
a lot of really good stuff, and
Yeah,
but also shit, but mainly good stuff, and the little 10% of shit didn't matter because it was an amazing discovery thing. And now both gonna well, I'm
yeah.
gonna sound older than you are in real life when I say the kids don't do it like that anymore these days. They get everything spoon fed, and then they have Spotify, and then they have everything in it, and nobody's doing fanzines anymore. Nobody's going to record stores, and oh my God, the audience is gonna throw books at me or tomatoes or whatever because I sound like a
Yeah,
kids get off my
where
lawn.
did they get the books? To throw at you. They must have got them somewhere. Um, so,
Well, we have
well,
to.
I
Yeah,
think
go
the
ahead.
the um, well, now I forgot what I was going to say. I'm too old. Um, yeah, the thing is, I believe um, that your audience is going to come to the same conclusions that you come to, and I also come to, that there were better days and there were better things, and it was better in many ways to go into a record store for your music. Um, and even if you live in a town that had one record store and you couldn't find anything new, you'd have to know it and order it. But the thing is, if you're discovering your music by well, how I discover music now because people will tell me, here's something, listen to this, and I still get the same
Right.
great feeling of discovery.
That's a good
You know,
point. That's a great point. Yep. Yep.
I cannot get, I'll never get the feeling of springing for the new Pink Floyd album.
Yeah.
You know, uh, I bought Animals back in 1977 or 78, and went home and listened to it and was just as excited as I still am listening to that CD or no that vinyl record. Um,
Vinyl record.
I
Vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
you know
but
what? Yeah. Make a.
I don't care about the vinyl so much. But then again, I'm not, music isn't my first love. I suppose, or my I but I do remember what it felt like to buy a new record, and with books, it's, I've lost it already, and what made me lose it is the pastel
Oh yeah.
hardcover, or no, paperbacks, I guess. Pastel books. There's one in Ljubljana. There's an independent bookstore that has a pretty good section of books in English, and I get physically nauseous hanging around that section because they got all these bestsellers and even just very hyped books, and they're pastel. They're all pastel, and I live in a pastel town. It's a Mediterranean town, so
Right.
it. But
But
I
but
don't
you're
get nauseous here.
but you're
I
mentioning,
get nauseous.
okay. Sorry to interrupt. The Please talk over me, and I will talk over you, and everybody talks over each other. This is the name of the game here. Uh, you're mentioning the uniformity here in terms of this presentation of big sellers. Before we go, this is exactly what I want to talk about. Here I put a picture up, a photo of you because we're speaking about covers, and here you're on the big screen. You're holding up Zachary Tanner's Margie and the Atomic Brain Volume 1, which is 500 something pages for 20 euros. An absolutely awesome cover. And this is
It's
a
on its way to Germany right now.
yes, I had to, this is exceeding my book budget already. And you know what's funny, because I saw the video on your YouTube channel where you're talking about 4 years of Corona Samizdat, and then you mentioned that Zachary Tanner is working on a new book, and then you say at some point, and Shyla pulled this quote. You said you talk about that you're not the youngest, the young spring chicken anymore. You said I gotta stick around, and I'm gonna try my best. Rick Harsch on his obligation to live long enough to publish Zachary Tanner's next book. So,
well, his next two books, because it's a trilogy.
Of course,
that will form it'll form a fourth picture or drawing. With the artwork is continued on the spine, but it doesn't come together till all three books are done.
Don't you love authors who already come to you? I have a trilogy idea. Okay, how long is each book? Well, I don't know, 700, 800 pages, whatever. But here's the thing. So you're talking about the uniformity of right now is this very trendy, these pastel tones in bestsellers. We're talking about a monoculture, essentially, not only in subject matter and format of the narrative very often. I mean, people can disagree with me. Please put it in the local chat. But that's how I experience it. And then I feel the need. I want to go outside of this, and I want to experience something new. And with Corona Samizdat, with the stuff that you put out, I found that. And when you look at your covers, I'm scanning here. I'm camming around here, looking at these covers. It's just absolutely awesome. Here is Finnegan Slept Here, which Shyla has right now. Here's Unidentified Man at Left of Photo by Jeff Bursey. You put out Roberto Arlt, who was a famous influential Argentinian writer. You put out his two books. The camera is coming here.
Two halves.
The Seven Madmen and the Flamethrowers. I have it. That's what I want to read next. But my question about this stuff that we're talking about. Now, it's all nice and good if you're a Stephen King fan, and I'm not knocking Stephen King. Please don't send me hate mail. I used to love Stephen King. I still respect him, but I want more. I want different things. So if you are a Stephen King fan, it's still out there. But the issue is, Rick, and that's really the question here. Oh, there's people have their mics open. Please close your mics. I got a lot of background noise. Shyla, can you see whose mic is open? Thank you.
Is Shyla the conciliary?
Yeah. She has.
Okay.
Oh yeah. She is. She's finishing people off if they are too crazy. But the thing is, now, people can say, well, I don't like this stuff, so I'm not going to pick it up. And yeah, I hate the fact that big publishing companies use 70% or something. I read an article about this recently. 70% on advances and deals for celebrity authors. The Obama memoir comes to mind. So people go like, yeah, I hate that stuff, but who cares, because I'm not going to read the Obama memoir anyways. The obvious problem here is, if this available budget from these big companies, from the big five, goes to these very narrow monocultural pursuits, there's nothing left over with a cover that is cool, and I don't know what's in it, but I'm gonna buy it because it looks cool, and there's weird shit written on the back of the thing, because there is no budget putting this out. You started doing this 4 years ago.
Let me hopefully I'll be coherent.
You can ramble
to the point until I get to my grandiosity. But the thing is, you're nailing something that I was railing about when Hillary Clinton left office. Some people would say she wasn't actually in office. I think she actually was in office less than most first ladies. Bill needed room, as we know. Anyway, so Hillary, when 2001, there was a bidding war for her memoirs, and the winner paid $7 million
Oh my
And
God.
my complaint at that time was that, or my point at that time was that, if you take $7 million and pay, um, hopeful upcoming literary authors 20,000 for a book,
Hmm.
you're going to come up with some fantastic literature, and that's a society that supports the arts and so on. Um, there is not nothing like that, and even in the United States, even where the money is public, the there's a mini hierarchy that works to confound the common writer, so to speak. Common writer, I mean the person who doesn't have the wherewithal, patience, whatever, to get an agent, and never gets known and continues to write, and actually is one of the really good writers that's around. And the other side of that is that they, uh, and this is why I can live with, Hillary Clinton and her 7 million. She's going to get it one way or the other, right?
Hmm.
So, what the value that I get by doing things the way that I've been doing them is it's very personally rewarding. I meet people that I really like. There's a lot of interconnectivity. There's a writer in Colombia who um, eh, has been watching bits of our film and wrote a short story about Isola, where he's never been, that we might actually film. And there's all these interconnected things that are happening, and you got these ordinary guys. Do you have the novel Filthy Synecdoche?
No, no, that's on you. No, I was gonna almost order it earlier today. Then I didn't.
Well, the writer's name is Ben Lieberman, but you'll have to trust me on that because it's not on the cover.
Hmm.
And I didn't know. It's about a year and a half since we published it, and I didn't know if our cover guy or if that guy screwed up or if they did it on purpose. And I never actually asked until he visited here for a couple of days, and he's about 29 or 30 years old, and the book itself, I read like 5 pages maybe, and I said, okay, this guy can write. And then for whatever reason, I also sort of edited it for him. Not really. I think I more proofed it than anything else. I mean, it's definitely his work, and it's a great novel, and it's an odd novel. And his next novel is going to be an amazing novel because he's an extremely smart, talented guy, and and his ambition will be swelling, and it is swelling. Anyway, so Ben
So you're,
Lieberman.
yeah, this is great because you're putting the emphasis here also on this kind of community aspect when you put something out into the world that involves other people. There's this magic that happens where people then just congregate and you meet other people that have similar interests, and sometimes you don't even actively pursue that aspect of it. They will just sort of find you. And this is actually something that I think we spoke about earlier today or yesterday. I don't even remember. I have dementia, I guess. That AI or being sort of um, satisfied, instantly with AI products, if they're stories or music or whatever, I think will further. This is my personal opinion on this. Will further actually make people even lonelier, and loneliness is a real issue. But if you want to comment on that, you can. But first of all, what um, since you mentioned sort of you read a few pages of this guy Ben Lieberman and then you published it. What are the parameters for you to publish things? And if you
Um,
want to talk about a little bit also about the plot as well, I feel like people go like, yeah, these people talk about abstract books and stuff, but what are these books actually about? I mean, are they
it's a,
fun?
Ben Lieberman's book is it's not written in a comic style, but it is funny. It takes place on a army base in South Carolina, and that's about all I can say. I'm very bad at summarizing books, but you're reading about people that you believe because he's very good at drawing up his characters, and we're always interested in other people. That's part of
Yep,
why we read Nora Roberts, Stephen King, and Ben Lieberman all in the same
absolutely.
lifetime. We
I've
we
never
like
read a
what people
Nora
do.
Roberts novel. No, no, yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
yeah.
We want to
So
travel
we
in
know her
other
name.
people's, yeah, exactly. We want to travel. We want to learn. We want to inhabit other people. We want to feel and think like them and go on these adventures. That's why we read. Absolutely.
Yeah. But to answer your other question, I didn't I didn't get into this intentionally, and I didn't get into it to work hard and to read lots of shit. Um, officially I don't take submissions, and so officially we can't publish anything un, unless uh, somebody else says, "Hey, this is a good book. Why don't you publish it?" And I say, "Okay." But I do actually, it's hard to say no to people, and so I try to make my decisions um, based on as few seconds of reading as possible.
Hmm.
So a lot of our books, it's rare that I actually am at the computer machine long enough to do something like what I did with Ben Lieberman, which was very little anyway. But a lot of the books that we have, somebody, says, what do you think? And I read a few pages and I think, oh yeah, okay, I think that'll be good. And the next book we have coming out is called The Year of the Plague Rat, um, and it's by a guy in San Francisco named Randall Leong. I take it he's Chinese American, and so is the book. It's a kind of wacky noir, and it looks great, but I haven't read many pages of it, and I don't, as often as possible, I don't read it until after it's published. Um,
This may
so it,
sound
and
this may sound to people insane, Rick. This may sound like uh, that anybody could say, "Hey, I'm writing something. You want to publish it?" And you just say yes.
well, it can be close to that. They'd have to,
Okay, I'll call you
you know.
afterwards because I have an idea about a radio broadcaster who is in retirement. The book is called Every Hour on the Hour.
All right,
All right, let's do it.
uh, yeah, it's fine. I just need, you'll be on a list. We're going slow because we're in a sales slump. Starting in January, we had our best sales ever at the end of last year, and then it stopped suddenly in the middle of January.
You started
Like
to,
somebody put their foot down. I
is
think
it,
Hillary Clinton put her foot down,
do you
and
know why that is? Do you have a suspicion? I mean, people usually say, okay,
no,
in January people have these New Year's resolutions, so people cancel the gym, or actually they start a gym membership that they
uh,
cancel in February, and maybe people go like, I'm buying too many books. But actually
I
earlier, yeah,
well
go ahead.
it well yeah. So they spend their holiday money for the first 2 weeks, and then they implement it. But the year before, January was amazing.
Hmm.
So nothing. Not no. I have no idea. It could be that we saturated the communities that we have access to. It could be that I'm not spending enough time on. I just started on. I don't know if I should call it Twitter or X.
Hmm.
Nothing satisfies me there, but I found that people were talking about one of our very successful books called Abended Circuity, a, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
now out of print,
Oh, I
and
have that
I
book.
need
I
to.
have it. Hmm.
Well, yeah, you can maybe sell it. for more and buy
I'm
another
gonna put
copy,
it on
then we
eBay
get. Yeah,
for double the price.
we have 3 books that are out of print. We're going to print 2 new ones, and then the 3 that are out of print, and then we go back on our list. But
Okay,
yeah, things are going slow. But why are we talking about that?
because I do find it fascinating. I want to talk about briefly about the avenues of marketing for small presses. But first, one of your big sellers. Let's talk briefly about because we're here in the place that was built for you guys presenting America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots, and I have a picture of you up here in the Dr. Seuss hat. It's not a Dr. Seuss hat, I know. It's from your video, and you're holding American the Cult of the Cactus Boots. Now this was a major hit. Do you have any type of data that people who came into Corona Samistad for this particular book that they stayed and they bought other stuff, or did
I
they?
think usually if a lot of people will buy just one book, and a lot of people will look at more and think, well, why not add another, a €10 book or whatever. And also, I give away a lot of free books because of the postal prices.
Mhm.
When they went up last summer, I thought this is just not fair. And so, if you order, let's say, between 1 and 2 kilos of books, if it's 1.1 kilo, it's the same as if it's 1.9.
Wow. Then you
And
get point
and
0.8 kilos book free, almost an entire kilo.
yeah, well, it's that because the there's a mark at half a kilo. If it's under half a kilo, it's so much. If it's up to 1 kilo, it's so much. And
Mm.
then the next is 1 to 2 kilos. And then after that, it becomes insane. But so you have to break, like if you ordered a bunch of books, I'd have to send you at least 2 packages. And,
So,
you know,
what? So, Rick, if you want to share, what does it mean to have a hit? I mean, how many books did you actually sell of America and the Cactus Boots, and is that really out of the ordinary of other books? Because I think people don't
yeah,
understand how.
just went over 1,000. It was, I think what is it, 2 years,
Yeah,
1,000 books.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's a uh, uh, to put it into perspective. And the story is a great one in terms of what we were talking about before, how this works. Friedenberg contacted me because in those days I didn't have a website, and he wanted to buy my book, The Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas, and I was still selling it then. Since then, it's been bought by the press in California called Zero Gram Press, which is a great press, but they bought it, and at what is, I think, would be considered a fair price these days, the advance, but it's smaller than the advance I got for my first published book in 1997.
Hmm.
So things are not getting more lucrative for
Well,
the odd book.
let
But
me let me.
I
I gotta throw something in here. Sorry to interrupt because I heard a story about writers, and somebody made like a little statistic that a person who writes a bestseller, everything put together, um, for that person to be on the bestseller list, the hourly wage of a novel of about 250 pages, the hourly wage for that writer would be 42 cents.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well, that depends a lot on the writer, of course. But any writer who would think in those terms is doomed.
mhm,
You know, I had an agent once, and he I complained about something to him, and he came back with a scolding message delineating exactly how much he was making per hour off my books.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it was one of the ugliest things I could ever have imagined coming from my agent. I was wrong; it did get uglier, but that's beside the point. Anyway, back to Eddie Vegas. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's generally considered my best book. I consider it one of the top three, and it was doing well. And Friedenberg contacted me, and there's something about it. We hit it off immediately with jokes, and he's got I can't give you his address, but I'll tell you it's on Buffalo Road.
Mm-hmm.
No, not Buffalo Road. It's in Buffalo on Rugby Road. Rugby Road. That's what it is. And I just cracked up when I heard that title, And so I wrote a Tom Waits style refrain, or no, what do you call it? Is it a refrain? Probably was a refrain.
Chorus.
But a stanza.
Refrain.
Stanza.
Yeah.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what it is. You music people with your terminology, it drives me nuts. Yeah, there was pizzicato and everything. And I sang it lento and in a deep voice. And I sent it to him in the Tom Waits song. And he wrote back. He and his friend Jeff Walton, who's his illustrator, wrote back and he sang, or they sang, the second verse or their response, and it had to do with cactus boots.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, he starts talking to me about writing a novel about a guy, meaning him, waiting for a novel to arrive.
In the mail.
And that was the
Mm-hmm.
that was the origin of America and the Cult of the Cactus Boots. And I told him, he gives me far too much credit for this, but I told him, it sounds great, I'll publish it. Because I knew I was dealing with a genius somehow. I just knew it.
I mean, this is really fascinating. It goes back to your kind of a certain intuition that you have, and that other, publishers also have, or I don't know, music producers or whoever, and you took a chance with Philip. I mean, the book is. I mean, we talked about the book here. Yeah, go
there's
ahead.
another factor. Every bit as important is what do I have to lose, and if by publishing a shitty book, I let's say I really love the way this person writes, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. And, after all, he's going to be the proofreader, and he'll work with Zach, our typography guy, and also cover guy when we need one. And he's going to put the book out. You make music. How much really shitty music do you put out, in your opinion?
I put out a lot of shit too, because I just put stuff out. Yeah.
But do you really put anything out that you honestly think is shit?
Well, that's a good question, because I have not released a CD in a long time. I put out the soundtrack for the last documentary because I'm now really focused more on making documentaries, and then I make my own music for those documentaries. For the short videos, I make like little music cues that I may release on a sampler or something in the future. So I have hundreds and hundreds of little music cues. They're about 90 seconds, 2 minutes long, and per week on average, I write at least 10 or sometimes 20 of these little music cues, and some of them are.
Well, let's change the question. If I said to you, look, we really need, we have two very important scenes in our film,
Mhm.
and we really need a couple of really, I can give you the idea and whatever, but it's really got to be good,
Mhm.
For our film. Would you hand over something that you had any doubt about?
Oh no, not you're making. I understand your
Yeah,
point now. Absolutely, I
yeah.
would give you the
So
absolute best. I
the
would not sleep. I would work my butt off. I would review
so
it. I would re-record it. I would do. I would go above and beyond, and then I would not
geez,
get.
well, that I'll never ask you now because it's too much work.
And I would not see a dime, and I would not see a dime, and then the thing will come out, and then my father's partner, who's a great woman, she will then look at me, roll her eyes, and says, "You are a really bad negotiator. You're really bad at business," because you. And it's funny when you said, "What do I have to lose if I publish a shitty book?" You know, Rick, that there are marketing experts who would say, well, you have a lot to lose, which is, trust in your brand of putting out good books. No?
Well, we published. I think we're getting close to 70 books now in 4 years, and there's only been one that I didn't like that much, but it was a complicated situation, and it was a favor that I had to do, and there was another one that I mistrusted the situation, and so there was only one that I thought was bad enough to recall, and I offered the guy the chance to. I said I could recall it, and I'll republish it if you will edit it, and he just couldn't do it. He was too sick of it, and so he didn't do it. He apparently he didn't take it too badly. He's been supporting us ever since, and so on. And it was a very hard decision to make, but in the end, it was actually it was so necessary that I can't really say it was hard, because it just there are some things I didn't want my press associated with, and so one mistake in all that time. And,
but that was a mistake. Hold on. When you say mistake, so that was just the quality was not up to snuff when you read it. I mean, again, I can't get over the fact that you're putting people that you're saying, like, you have a conversation with Philip and you go like, this dude looks like a genius to me. Okay, I'm gonna publish this book, and you don't read a draft or you don't read anything. And as far as I can tell, what Corona Samizdat has put out in the last 4 years is everything is just. I mean, for me personally, for my taste, it's like it's the best candy store in the world to kind of feed my personal addiction. But again, my addiction is more like, the discovery and the quirky, the stuff that I may have to work on a little bit, offbeat humor, whatever. Yeah, I mean, you don't.
But
It's Shyla. Yeah.
I'm listening to Rick, and I'm thinking this is how it should be, right? The system we have today is one of kind of the same old, same old. They're
is it
looking
dead
for
air?
a mold, and I don't see that with Rick. Rick is looking for a person to write the book.
Hold on, I think
Does
Rick
that make sense?
Rick can't hear you, Shyla. But this is a wonderful question. Shyla
I
is sitting too
I
far
can't.
away from you. You can't hear her. But she was basically saying, maybe you want to type it up as well. She was saying the way you run it is how it should be run, is what she is saying. Trusting people.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that, because the other aspect of this is what on what by what rules do I become the literary, I guess gatekeeper is the term we use, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, before the law stands a doorkeeper. I don't want to be anybody's Kafka nightmare, and so I would rather make a mistake on that side. And even then, how big of a mistake is it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I would not. I wouldn't. I guess I say this more to try to get across how enjoyable it is to like, do you have Joao Hayes' book, uh, um, Russian Grandma Bedraggled by, or wait, no,
Ah,
Grandma Bedraggled by Russian Snow?
no,
Um,
because I always run around. This is another one that I almost always, when I look at the catalog, which I do every morning after I get up before breakfast, I look at the catalog. Joao Rice bedraggling grandma with Russian snow. Yeah,
yeah,
I come
yeah,
across this and go like, should I buy it? The title is so weird. This is a crazy title. I just should buy it on the title alone.
I bought it on about, I don't know, 10 to 15 pages that he printed on Instagram, or I guess it was that. And I contacted him. I said, "Is this you got a place for this?" He had a book out. I knew that, but I read that and I thought this is great, and it was, and it is, and so and so I mean I could overdo it, but I'm looking at the books on the shelf right in front of me, and actually, as it happens, there really isn't more than one that fit that. I
Yeah.
guess when you could include my own. Um, Also, I have two books in Spanish by Colombian writers, and
And they're
I
being
I felt there
translated.
was a
Mm-hmm.
they're being translated. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we got very lucky, and it's part of the process of doing this. You just um, uh, you, if you keep your expectations low enough, make as few promises as possible, and maybe good things will happen. And so we have these two books, and we can't afford a translator, and I don't want to become a crowd funder, a crowd. I don't know what do you call the person who crowd funds?
I don't
Crowd
know, but
fundee.
yeah, the crowdfunding campaign manager. Yeah, no, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
this is,
I really don't want. There's I don't like to
yeah,
denigrate the people who do that,
yeah,
but one person was reading a crowd-funded book recently, and he was telling me that it was a load of shit. And
right.
so, just privately to him, and now publicly here, I said, it's the I said, you know, help me buy this book so you can pay, or help me pay for this book so you can buy it from me later. You
It makes no sense. Absolutely. I'm with you 100%. I'm with you 100%. This makes no sense to me as well. And besides, those crowdfunding campaigns very often also devolve into a administrative and management nightmare that a lot of people that I've spoken to, they didn't see it coming, although everybody saw it coming a mile away, just sending out sort of the perks and then producing this extra content or whatnot. I mean, what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing, actually, Shiloh asked a few questions. Shiloh,
Okay.
I'm gonna read them in a second, but Shiloh first, what she said, what you couldn't hear, she typed it up. She says, Rick is right. The general system wants folks to fit a mold, but Rick listens to a person, an individual, and gets a feel that they have a story to tell instead of people trying to write to a certain mold. It's innovative and therefore worth reading. I would add briefly, this reminds me of a Frank Zappa interview where he talked about when the first Zappa record came out in 64, is it? Oh no, 66, the Freak Out album. And he gave an interview in the mid 80s where he said, those old record executives, the old guys in suits and smoking cigars that are now replaced with the hip guys with the long hair. He preferred those old guys because they say, I don't know what these kids are doing. I have no idea. Let's just give them 10,000 and see how it pans out. And that's
Yeah.
why we have culture, specifically here in the music realm, uh, and I would argue this stuff is not being produced. I'm not saying that new good music is not existing. That's not what I'm saying. But you know what I'm saying. I mean, this has been replaced with bean counting graduates of business school who are chasing trends, who are constantly analyzing trends, and have basically destroyed their own intuition if they ever had one in the first place.
Yeah, that's. I think it's very well put. I think the intuition should be there. It is there. It
Yeah.
has to be there, and all you can do is lose it.
If you want to
And
destroy it, then you go to study marketing or go to business school, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if as soon as you worry about the money, you're blackening your process.
But you somehow still survive. I mean, I don't know. Your kid's college fund is probably non-existent, but who cares? I don't.
Yeah,
I don't care about my own kids. Why should I care about yours? Go ahead.
Yeah, I very subtly lobbied them over the years and undermined that part of them that would want a higher education.
Right.
So, and it worked. So they're not going. So I actually have the perfect business model for the press, which is if we don't have the money, we don't print.
Yeah.
So and it's unfortunate because I wish there was another way. I'm actually for the first time, not actually the first time, but early on, I guess I took money that could have gone elsewhere. I made some book money a couple of times, and like the Eddie Vegas money, I put it into the press, and I'm going to put some money in this month. But it's a particular time, and right now, and we're also be working on the movie, and we need to get the means to produce Blu-ray, whatever's DVDs, and so we need to have the freedom to spend a little bit, and at the same time get a couple books out. So
Rick,
I will get very serious about saving money any day now.
But you mentioned earlier, well, first of all, Shiloh was asking, let me see her comment here. She said, how much would you class yourself as an indie publisher? Shiloh, I think that's what he is. Matter of fact, Samizdat, here is a Wikipedia entry. Samizdat is Russian for self-publishing. And Samizdat was a form of dissident activity across the Eastern Bloc in which individuals reproduced censored and underground makeshift publications, often by hand, and passed the documents from reader to reader. So this is where the name comes from. Corona, of course, I suppose, because you started at the height of Corona, which is also a great business decision to produce physical goods in a pandemic where nobody's allowed outside. But
that was
the quality.
That was it, yeah.
So everybody now and after the show has to go to this website. I know this is very infomercially, and I don't care. You got to go to this website, and you can afford €10, whatever that is in dollars, plus shipping
and post. Yeah, okay.
And you pick up this book, for example, Orbo and the Godhead. I think I'm going to read this next. I don't know what I'm going to read next. But what strikes me also is the quality of your paper, Rick. And this is really amazing. These books are physical objects that are beautiful in the way the cover, again, we talked about it, but also the quality of the paper for that price. I mean, honestly, it's total infomercial now. I don't care, because print on demand sometimes is absolute garbage, especially from Amazon.
You wait until you get your package in the mail. There's a surprise in there for you.
Ooh.
And it's tactily important. Yeah. You should have ordered it, but since you didn't, I had to take it. Sometimes you have to do that with people.
I had to do a little bit restraint. you
You know, but it worked out well. I think I weighed your what did you buy? Three books?
I forgot. Hey, wait a minute. JD is watching from the Isle of Man. Who is JD?
That's
Is he an
that's
author?
a real. He's a real sick motherfucker, and a stalker actually.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, he calls me baby horn deer, and
Oh, okay.
I try to tell him, it's derivative.
Right.
If you're going to be a good stalker, John. No, John Dixon is he's actually one of the two books we have coming out. He was a he was an editor for one of them. I got these pages from somebody, and I said, "Yeah, these are kind of nice." And I don't know. I was talking to John, and he was interested in them. And I said, "Well, why don't you edit these? You want to
Mm-hmm.
edit these? You want to be the editor?" And he took on the role of editor.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's the lengths I'll go to get rid of work. But also, it fits in very well with my way of the way I feel about all of this. Who's the best editor in the world? Well, nobody knows. And why is one person an editor and one isn't? I don't know. I know. I have very strong instincts when I'm reading, and but I would never advise anyone who I give an opinion to leave it with me. See what else you find out. So John's a reader.
Mm-hmm.
He's a reader,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean he reads a lot, and he
Well,
reads really well.
right now he's watching YouTube. I mean, I don't know about these writers, Rick. I don't know. I don't. I feel their work ethic is lacking. But who am I? Uh,
Yeah, well,
and I mean, you are constantly. We've been talking for less than. We're talking about for an hour now, and you constantly seem to be very proud of how lazy you are. But no, but quite honestly, it seems
it's a necessity. I want to be a
right,
writer. I got to have some writing time.
right.
Okay, you ordered 3 books, Drax, and yeah, you chose really well.
Yeah,
I think. I mean,
that's
you got Mark Nash. Now, this is one of the other things that happens, and let me add this in because I'm making it sound like just anybody in the world can write a book, send it to me, and it'll be published. Well, we get a lot of because we don't go. There's no bullshit with us, and that's good. If there's no money, at least there's no bullshit. Um, so we get these people like Mark Nash, who's published a lot of books, has avoided success, and that goes with success in becoming, let's say, a household name.
hmm
Gary Amdahl's another.
And
Could
again,
easily have been
we're
somebody.
talking about household names within a niche
In a literary
literary
community.
circles, right? hmm
So, I would say before the early '90s and White Noise, Don DeLillo was someone I knew.
hmm
Hadn't read him, but I knew who he was, and because he published a lot of books with good presses, unlike maybe Thomas McGuane or I mean, there's that level of writer, and I don't think we publish anyone who wouldn't be good enough to be in that category,
Yeah, I have
and
to
yet,
agree. As a huge DeLillo fan, I completely agree.
but
And yeah,
they fall short. They fall short because they don't get the support, they don't get the money, and I mean, Jeff Percy, you mentioned,
yeah.
is Canadian. Lee Thompson, Canadian. Um, we got Mark Nash is an honorary Canadian. He's English, but I already had the Canadians formed. So Tim Conley, Canadian professor, great book of short stories. Every one is utterly unique, and so we are getting we've been getting these really excellent writers, and the two Colombian writers. are probably really great writers, and hopefully we'll find out soon.
Uh,
But
you mentioned just real brief, and Shyla is asking a question I want to pose, and also Shiloh and Shyla, uh, and Dex just said in the local chat he was writing fan fiction. He was not planning on publishing it. Why can't I read this now? Oh, I can't read this from here. Please put that out again, Dex. He said he was writing fan fiction and he didn't plan to put it out in paper. To that, I say, Dex, put it out in paper because paper is the shit. Now, Rick, you mentioned Don DeLillo, who is a big name. You know, people may know White Noise now because I think it's a series or whatever. Don DeLillo is one of my favorites, and he came out with White Noise in '85. In your mind, is this also that something like this, um, that that he got this break at that time, and he's still writing. He's still actually. I read a short novel of his. Forgot the name now. It was about all phones suddenly completely dying. It was really interesting. But anyway, Don DeLillo is older, but he's very active and he is famous in those circles. Is it possible that a Philip Friedenberg will get there? In other words, is it also a function of the world and the market and how people consume media? Has it changed so much that it's not possible to become someone like Don
no, it's
DeLillo
blind.
anymore?
It's still blind luck. It's
Hmm.
still blind luck, and so a writer in the 20 to 30 range can publish a first novel that gets known somehow by the right person, and really gets pushed, isn't bad, and then the next one comes out, and the person's productive and writes quality fiction, and from there anything can happen. And then there are freak stories, and I don't know them, but Adam Levine is one.
Ah, yeah. What's his book?
And
I heard about him.
uh,
Ah,
and he's written, I think, 3 novels in 10 years or so. But they're all big, and they're all
right.
literary, and they're all very well reviewed, and people are buying them. But I think it's a function of the capitalist system and the lack of cultural support and so on that makes these things that skews the literary market. There shouldn't even be a literary market. I think Shyla and I probably agree on a lot, given
Yeah.
her response.
It's too bad that you
But
can't hear her. She could be your friend, but you can't hear her. So it's too bad. We're talking about community building and meeting interesting people. But anyway,
and
Shyla,
here you got me cut off. I'm in a phone booth.
yeah, that's
I
right.
can't even get up. I can't even get up and have a drink. This is. I mean, I'm getting a dry mouth. But that's okay. I'll just chew on a handkerchief or something.
We're
You
done.
were going to talk about. Do you have Olaf Palme?
No, this is your Olaf Palme. This is also in on my list, but I am very low on funds. I'm doing fundraising myself to continue my Second Life documentaries. I don't have a lot of this, money to spend on books right now, Rick, for God's sakes.
Well,
And I
we
already,
yeah,
like
but
I
you
wanted to say this earlier, I feel guilty whenever I look at your website. I feel guilty. And I told you this in our meeting where you asked me like, okay, so where do you buy books right now? And I immediately, I felt so guilty. But then I told you the truth, which is that I buy, classics and the so-called canon, to complete my canon, and I do this on eBay. So I discovered Bernard Malamud,
yeah.
Jewish American
I was
writer. I
just
typed the name into eBay. I see Bernard Malamud, Rembrandt's Hat, one of his awesome short story collection for €1, zero shipping. And we're like, dude,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I'm going to be going on eBay. That's African. Ebo chicken is one of the things I make, but yeah, I'm going to go on eBay and pick up all the William Burroughs I can.
Yeah.
A friend sent me today. The writer who sent me books today sent me. His name is Chase Griffin, and her name is Christina Quay or Key. I think Key is how you pronounce it in the maritime business, so I'll do it that way. They wrote a book together called The Necromancer's Theremin.
Oh,
And,
wow.
you know, I started reading it, and I thought, that's got the spirit of cactus boots, and it's also got some of the ideas of cactus boots. There's a real. I hope they need to get to know each other, but the three of them, or however many there are in total. But it really gives me hope when I come across the sheer exuberance, wildness, and so on.
Yeah.
And but he also sent me other books, which is nice. And one was Naked Lunch: The Restored Text, and I thought I need to read Burroughs. I've been noticing that Stephen Moore often compares people to Burroughs when he's very favorably. I think to Stephen Moore, probably the best writing done in the 60s was Chandler Broussard and William Burroughs. But I asked about Olaf because you were going to get to what is the name of that damn book? Why should they read about it? The Periplus of Spur Tank Road.
Yeah.
Well, all of the history in that is precise.
Absolutely.
That's
I
real
actually,
stuff.
exactly. And so in the Periplus of Spurtank Road, let's go back to that's your latest title from a couple of years ago. It is superb. Yeah. It is really dense, and I looked up all the stuff. It's the Portuguese coming under Vasco da Gama, coming through India and doing as colonizers and imperialists do horrible stuff. And you talk with the monkey. You talk about that, and it's. I mean, I don't know, Rick, why there is not a big ad on some billboard that says, "This is Rick Harsch, the Heart of Darkness."
That's very nice of you to say.
You need you need some marketing person, for God's sakes.
Well, Chris Villa was just in on the Australian podcast. Oh my God, I'm going to forget the name. The Australian podcast. What is it called?
I don't know.
The guy's name is Ben.
I have no idea, but Chris Villa.
Oh, Chris Villa. He's a YouTube reviewer.
Yeah,
and he's fantastic. As good as it gets.
Yeah, he's the best. His YouTube channel is called Leaf by Leaf. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, right. Thank you. And in this thing, he mentioned the Manifold Destiny of Eddie Vegas many times in a 2-hour interview, and that was really gratifying, and so gratifying. And he's a really busy guy, and he maps out his reading.
Yep.
Very organized.
Very organized.
Sticks to his schedule.
Totally.
Sticks to his schedule. And, so I gave up on trying to get him to read Olaf Palme. And, but, I think most people know.
Now you got me. Now you met me, and you feel like this Draxtor fella is such a pushover. He's so disorganized. He probably has a list of 20 books or 100 books, but he will completely throw the stack down and read my Olaf Palme. Why should I read the Olaf Palme, Rick, versus the Appearance of Death to a Hindu Woman, for example, another book of yours?
That's a good question, because of all the books that we've produced, the only one that is flawed, that came from the printer flawed, was The Appearance of Death to a Hindu Woman. It's a little stiff. a little stiff. I didn't even, I noticed it when we got it, but I didn't think it was bad enough to get, to not accept it.
You talk
They
about the
didn't
paper
realize.
quality.
Yeah, paper quality's fine, but the glue was a little stiff, and but I don't know. I can't really say that when it comes between two different books of mine. But I think that if you're gonna rank the books, I don't think that Eddie Vegas.
Uh-oh. Did Rick disappear?
Is
Oh, here he is back.
And you got Plus up there. So
Okay, you cut out and
is there,
you cut out a little bit. Shyla,
is
give me
water
one
coming
second.
in?
No, it's all good. Shyla's coming next. Rick, you cut out with your explanation about Olaf Palme, which is a good thing because I will find some money under the mattress or something that fell off a truck somewhere, and I will order it tomorrow. Now, Shyla's
How about I just send it to you tomorrow?
Shyla's question here is, let me read it real quick. Shyla, why don't you post this question and then I'll repeat it for Rick so you can hear it. Shyla? Uh-oh.
I just reposted it.
I thought, okay, then let me read it. So Shyla says, I'd like to know if there is an advantage in your eyes of being an independent publisher in Slovenia versus other markets. I would say you mean like from the US or from India where you used to live. That's a great question.
Yes.
Because you seem to have anyway. Just how would you answer that?
The only advantage that I found is that I was able to get good printers. The first printer I had went out of business, and I was able to find another one that could do just as well. And so, good printers, relative to other places, cheap. But the disadvantage is the post. I think they 2 years ago they cut out. At the behest of the United States, at the World Postal Service, which exists, the United States determined and persuaded others that books can no longer go at a special rate. They are merchandise, and they must be spent as merchandise, not paper.
This is the war on books. It's real.
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know. I get the information from my local postmaster, but I don't know some of the questions like can a country say fuck off? We're not going to do that. We have a book rate, and we're going to keep using it. As a matter of fact, I think even the United States uses a book rate. So there's something funny going on. And there's not a hell of a lot I can do about it. Anyway, let's make a deal right here in front of people so they know how things work. I'll send you Olaf tomorrow, and you'll just shut up and take it.
Okay, but I can only accept this, and I will send you money or I will send it back if the only way to prevent me from doing that is if 5 people in this audience today order a book from coronasamizdat.com. Come on, let's do it. I'm
not responsible for this guy. Nor would I want to shut him up either. People should be free, no matter how insane they are. And the thing that buy 5, he gets 1 free. I love it. I love the perverseness of it. So
Panther in the audience just said. Panther said, "Why do people not use? What did she say? Too bad no one really binds books with strings. No glue required." Also, Mike Watson is in the audience, and Mike's gonna kill me if I don't buy next month his. Bram Gibbons' book is coming out, The Darkest Timeline. It's for pre-order now. Mike also has a small press, and I'm going to connect you guys too. He does amazing stuff, revolpress.com. God, I think I need to. I need
Let's
to.
ask her.
I need to drain my son's college fund. Shiloh, what is that?
I was going to say, let's go to Shiloh's question.
Shiloh. Yeah,
Which is out
Shiloh.
of curiosity, does America's banned books effort affect sales abroad?
Right. So Shiloh, no relation to Shilah, is although actually in the Periplus of Spurtank Road a gecko appears, which is really cool. But Shiloh is asking, does America's banned books effort affect sales abroad or maybe inspire people to buy a book? What's your take on
I
that?
really don't. I don't know, but I think that those things are the harm that's done is to librarians.
Mhm.
You know, I think they brutalize librarians in small towns. Some librarians are publicly hired. I don't know really how it works, but a librarian can actually get in trouble for just acting like a librarian. I think in terms of book buyers, you want to ban naked lunch, fuck off. I'll buy it wherever. I mean, that's why Samizdat existed.
Mhm.
Because under threat of death, people wanted to read Master and Margarita, and they did,
Mhm.
and they produced it, and they passed it around, and it only made people want to read it more. Banning books is a really stupid idea, and there was in the 80s. There was Frank Zappa was very eloquent on the subject of
Of the
marking
stickers,
lyrics.
absolutely.
You
Of the PMRC
know.
with Al Gore's wife at the helm. With I mean, yeah, people should look up these speeches. Yeah, so it's an ongoing thing with wanting to restrict
Yeah.
cultural expression in the land of the free. But you know what's great, Rick? I mean, every time I'm worried about that. Um, Then I see a tweet. I mean, you're on this Twitter thing, right? Because you use it for marketing. And what I saw on this Twitter thing, where I don't post anymore, but I look at it, when you're worried about book banning and restrictions in the free world, you can see a video of Anthony Blinken in Kiev jamming with a band and singing the song "Rocking in a Free World." And then you know that Neil Young,
Irony costs nothing.
right, and and he is that type of entertainment is cheaper than the $10 you shell out at Corona Samizdat for Jeff Bursey and other humorists. Yeah, I mean, isn't that amazing? We have
Yeah.
to start thinking about wrapping it up. I want to also say, Kip Yellowjacket is here. We got a bunch of other new people coming in. Stranger.
What is the name of the? Nothing against Kip and his sartorial choices, but who is the publisher that you mentioned? What was his name?
Oh, Mike Watson. Mike Watson is over here. Yeah, Revol Press. I'll
Mike
email
Watson.
you. Yeah.
Are you saying Revo Press?
No, Revol from Revolution. Revol.
Oh, Revo Press.
Yeah,
Okay.
revolpress.com.
Okay, I'm in.
They got some good stuff. I mean, but careful, Rick. This is left politics. There's no. This is not.
Oh, that's one thing we skipped.
Exactly.
I'm really excited to do this because of Yanis Varoufakis getting shut up. Are you sure you're not going to get in trouble for this, or me? I mean, Yanis was going to get thrown in jail if he even mailed his speech, if he taped his speech and sent it. They were going to. I don't know how they were going to do it. I know that they've had a lot of influence over Greece, but I still don't think they can go in. Only Mossad does things like invade a country like Italy and kidnap somebody for telling the truth about nuclear weapons. And Yanis Varoufakis is probably safe from the German police, I'm guessing.
Yes,
in Greece.
And let me also say how proud I am, how happy I am that the country which is issuing my passport, is even more a laughing stock internationally if it weren't that so tragic compared to the country that issues my green card. I mean, I did not see that coming, although I should have seen it coming because I grew up in this country. So,
Yeah.
we're laughing about this, and sometimes, I mean, it's
I'm not laughing often. I'm not
yeah.
laughing often.
Now we need to
Uh,
keep we need laughter heals, but we are involved in a genocide, and that what Germany is doing right now in aiding and abetting and financing, but also white blonde German police are arresting and beating Jewish Holocaust survivors because they express solidarity with Palestine and express that they don't like mass murder. Uh, it's absolutely insane. And there we go, 180 degrees. We changed the subject from literary fiction to.
at least at least there's a current of idiocy that's inescapable.
Yeah.
I saw on something on YouTube the other day where someone who was very proud of his opposition to the Iraq War was arguing with someone, and he got so confused that he said something about the Germans and French in the Iraq War. And if I remember, in the U.S. they hated Germany and France because they didn't support them in the war. Right?
We have a phenomenon, and we should. I mean, we have to wrap it up in a few minutes.
Okay.
One of the most fascinating, if people want to get into this madness, there is a movement in Germany that I was pretty oblivious about because I lived in America for so long, and it's the anti-German movement. It's an amazing. It's the most schizophrenic phenomenon in all of politics. Believe you me. Look that stuff up. Um, I have on the big board right now on our board. I have a sentence from your Periplus of Spur Tank Road, which is excellent, and we didn't even get to talk about it much. But I pulled an excerpt where you, Rick, or the character in the book says, "Do you know what a non sequitur is?" And the monkey says, "My middle name." So that's pretty apt. And with that, I would like to wrap it. Please check out the website coronasamistad.com. I love this website, and like I wrote in my little newsletter blog, is that Rick is so has so little to do that he even posts his email and his cell phone number on the website, and you can call him and discuss what Yanis Varoufakis, who is now suing Germany, by the way. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's get better and
Look,
better.
Drax, I reek of unimportance. I mean, people don't email me often. It comes out lack of importance wafts off me, and even through the internet. I got to thank you before I cut you off for this reason. To thank you very much.
I need to be cut off all the time.
I really appreciate this and the music offer, and you buy too many books, so it's decent of you. You have to sometimes let a person do the right thing and send you a book, and so thank you very much.
Thank
you
Rick.
all, whoever you are.
And Rick, you are, and let me just say, in closing, you are important because with your intuition and relying on this intuition, and if people want to watch your 4-year anniversary sort of YouTube, is about an hour long. This is a great YouTube video on your channel where you talk a little bit. I mean, you mentioned it here too, why you started this whole thing, and in that sense, I think you are important because you are balancing. You are the counter of this move towards monoculture, and Mike Watson in the audience as well, by trusting their intuition and working with people and putting stuff out that otherwise is not out there. And it's fascinating to me as someone who is embracing virtual worlds, specifically Second Life, and I loved the internet when it first came out. It's like the first record was good, but then it sucked. But the internet is not what it was anymore. I mean, I'm stating the very, very obvious. It's just completely usurped by corporate mentality and ethos, and it's really a dead mall. I mean, it's not dead. The money is coming in, but people are dead. So yeah.
I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't disagree with that fundamentally, but I think the thing is, if you are alert, you can spend most of your time amongst people that you can
Yep.
learn from, live
Yep.
with, enjoy. And when it comes to nonsense, I believe it or not, the worst commentary I've seen recently was while I was watching the chess tournament for who got to play the champion.
Mhm.
I watched that a lot, and I couldn't believe the comments. The chess people are ugly, really ugly. So I don't know where it's safe, but it ain't there.
Mhm.
But you don't have to do that. You don't have to watch that shit. You can
Mhm.
you can find what you need, and you can watch Democracy Now, Novara Media. You can find all kinds of great stuff if you need to get out of Germany to a degree. You know,
No,
so and
absolutely. And I don't, you're making a good point, and you use the word alert, and I'm 100% with you. It just requires an alertness to just sift through the stuff, and um, yeah, it's there, and the community is there, the people are there. It's just the relentlessness of the corporate machine, and I don't know, probably older people who have lived through that would probably say, you kids, it was bad back then. I don't know. This is not for me
well,
to assess.
you and I both certainly at some point or other experienced Reagan and thought this is the end of it. This is the worst it can get.
Exactly. And
And we were
when you
wrong.
watch, yeah,
And we were wrong.
and you watch Zappa interviews about Reagan where he talks about theocracy, and Zappa is spot on, but he was talking about, like I'm talking now, in the sense like, the shit is happening tomorrow. So I don't know, but it feels like it's happening tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, the kids today are they're alert, and I
Yes.
think they're going to have to be. And it's all going to get really really bad eventually, and probably after both of us shuffle off. Uh, you know, uh,
The
there's
kids,
there's there's nothing to be optimistic about in the long run, but in the short run, there might be.
very nicely put. And one more thing, and then we're ended, because the kids do give me hope. The protest that is happening, those protest camps are amazing. And I just finished Paul Auster's 4321, which is a work of utter genius. Um,
Oh, really? Okay,
Absolutely.
glad to hear that.
I'm telling you, this is his it's a masterpiece. I mean, this is the last book he wrote. He passed away recently, and
Yeah.
4321 is situated, and it's absolutely eerie to read this right now, because the main protagonist is born in 47, and then he's at Columbia University, and he wants to be a journalist, and he encounters these protests at Columbia against the Vietnam War, and then he learns that the New York Times was in cahoots with the administration in Columbia, basically writing up a story as if the students had destroyed some of these rooms, which later came out that the cops actually spilled ink and destroyed the furniture to make it look like those students are radical. Um, and you read this, and the main protagonist in the story hears about this, and that's when he gets so dismayed about his plans to become a journalist, because he feels, this is all just lies. Um,
I'm going to order that tonight.
I'm telling you, it's the structure, I'm not going to give away. I mean, don't watch any interviews about the structure. It's awesome
Yeah,
to get thrown off, and then you go, what's happening here? And it's eerie and it's scary, and then you realize, oh, that's what he's doing. And then you kind of know, oh, that's what he's doing. And then you go like, this is so cool. And it keeps going, and then, oh my God, is he really doing that? So the structure is extremely unique. I've never read anything like it. And of course, he's a master storyteller. Is very fluid. And again, situated when you compare the 60s, which I knew little about specifically. I know about the 60s, but the specifics about the protest at Columbia University, the student protest, and how it was dealt with the cops. It's the same today. It's the exact same.
There was dirty shit in every aspect.
Yep.
Domestically, and of course in Vietnam, even a little dirtier. Yeah.
Okay, we need to remind people. People, please listen. Rick is allowed to order Paul Auster 4321 right now, but you here in the audience, good folks, you are not allowed to order it. You go to coronasamistad.com. Paul Auster, his estate has enough money. Go to. Oh boy!
And if you don't, we'll know who you are.
Exactly. Exactly. If you don't, we know who you are because I know who is here right now, and Rick is sharing his database with me.
Really?
No,
How do I do that?
No,
yeah.
I hacked into it. Okay, so
all right.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, all of you. Shyla, good to come close to communicating with you directly again.
Shyla is wearing a Cubs hat right now, actually. Shyla's wearing a Cubs, total
I
Cubs
had a
outfit.
Sox hat on earlier today. I got both. But I had a Sox hat on because it was the right one for one short jaunt.
Ah.
And we talked. We're Chicago folk. And she's up Wisconsin way.
Yeah.
This summer, daredevil bicycling and busting up bars.
Okay. I'm going to wrap it, or we're going to keep talking. Shyla says she's not busting up bars anymore. Okay. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation.
She ain't. Okay. All right.
This is the Second Life Book Club. I'm going to do my outro spiel. Rick, goodbye. Thank you. And we'll talk soon. I put up Kenneth Rexroth here. Rexroth. Against the ruin of the world, there's only one defense, the creative act. Look up who Kenneth Rexroth was. This is a wonderful quote that stays with me. This is the Second Life Book Club. Second Life Book Club every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. Produced by yours truly and Shyla the Super Gecko. And I'll do it very quick today because we have a special show on Saturday. Charles Yu is coming on Saturday. Charles Yu is National Book Award winner for his Interior Chinatown. I don't know if his work classifies as a speculative fiction. He wrote a book that was influential to me. I love it. It's called How to Live Safely in a Science Fictional Universe. Charles Yu was here before. He's fantastic, and he only was available on Saturday. So it's this Saturday, May 18th at 12 o'clock right here at the Second Life Book Club. Come on down. You don't want to miss this. And I'm going to sign off.
You're talking about the Charles Yu?
The Charles Yu. There's only one.
I know him. He told me. It's funny because he told me his only good days were. He told me his only good days were Wednesdays. That's weird.
Oh my God! What a liar!
I'm sorry.
That is very funny.
Night. I'm gonna go get something to drink. Thanks, everybody.
Go. Bye,
Thanks,
Rick.
Drax. Check your mail twice. Okay.
I will. Check your mail tomorrow. Check your mailman twice. Bye, Rick.
All right.
And yeah, Charles Yu on Saturday, and thank you everyone here in the audience. A bunch of people that I haven't seen here, Kip and Konal, and yeah, we're gonna wrap, and I'll see you guys on Saturday, hopefully, with Charles. Bye bye.
We're all thrown into it, one way or the other. We all try to steer it as straight as we can. Sometimes we collide with each other. Who is to blame? And who's gonna fix the boat? Life, oh life, there's nothing to fear from your life. Let me know if I can be of any help. Life, you and I, let's try a fresh start today. What do you say? Let's close the door on the past. So we swim, and it is in so many ways just a little trick to keep our heads above water. But now I'm not afraid anymore. Life, oh life, there's nothing to fear from your life. Let me know if I can be of any help. Life, you and I, let's try a fresh start today. What do you say?